What is up, gentlemen? It is your boy Forte, and it is episode 211 of the Damage Per Second podcast. DPS podcast for short. Another great day. Hopefully, if you're in the Northeast or the Midwest, you are bundling yourself up because we're supposed to get like negative degrees in temperature over the course of the next couple of days going into the weekend. So take care of yourselves out there. But with that being said, I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, the man of many slaps, the man that is always shutting people down when their overall opinions suck. His name is SloMoBackSlap. How you doing, sir?
Not true. What is up? I do not do that. That is ridiculous.
Yes, you do. You shut people down all the time with their opinions. When they come up, like if they have a decent opinion, you'll listen to it. But if it absolutely makes no sense, you're like, hold up, son. You be out here sunning people, dog. I be seeing it.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm having a good evening, man. I'm ready to do this. You ready to do this? It's gonna be a good time.
I'm here, man. I didn't even have to go and look to see what the episode note was. So, episode 211. I'm ready. It's a great show. It's a great time, and also, for anybody that is affected by the wildfires out there, we hope that everything is good with you. It's been a crazy week to 2 weeks over in California, and our prayers are with you if you're still dealing with a lot of the stuff that's happening over there. But no, Slomo, it's been a crazy week, man. Just looking forward to the podcast, doing it with you, of course. And I had my first.
You've been playing?
Oh man, me Call of Duty, been on there off and on. Some college football, getting ready to go into season 5 for that. But outside of that, I've been doing a lot. Final Fantasy Rebirth. I went in because I never finished the DLC on it, so I went back to go do the DLC for it. So I'm working on that, and I booted up Destiny for the first time in like 3 months, and then
Destiny of
Destiny.
All games.
Yeah, of all games, and I instantly turned it off. I didn't even go.
Yeah.
This time I didn't even go to Normally I'll go to a planet to see like what's going on. I didn't even do that. I just booted. It's just like I looked on my hard drive because I deleted it off my Xbox hard drive, but it's still on my PC hard drive. Yeah, I've been deleted off my Xbox hard drive, but it's on my PC hard drives. I was like, I didn't know what I wanted to play. I just got through playing Call of Duty. I had just like Dado, he got recommended to me because he did his year in review of Destiny, and he has some scathing stuff to say about the game. It was pretty bad. I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm talking about. Dado going ham. But then I was like, you know what? Let me go just dump into the game. I haven't really jumped in there to see what it's all about. I still have it. I jumped in. I looked around. Normally, like I said, I go to a planet. I didn't even go to a planet, Slow-Mo. I looked at my character. I looked at the Eververse store, and I instantly was like, log out. Go. I got something else better to do. So that's kind of what I've been doing this week. Other than where I worked a lot this week. GameStop closed quite a bit of stores. Beginning of January, we had 3 that were affected in our area, so I had to go help.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it was kind of underperforming stores and stores that were like kind of close proximity to other ones. So we ended up, I had to go help out at one of the stores on Tuesdays this week to like break stuff down and do stuff like that. So got a chance to talk to the people over there, people I ain't seen in like a good 6-7 months. So that was cool. But you never want to, have it be in a circumstance like that. But
right.
Outside of that, though, man, it's been great. I still don't have my car, by the way. That my car was in an accident, right? I did tell you that, didn't I?
Oh no. I don't think we talked about that.
I've never talked about this. Oh my God.
No.
Yeah. So, man, it was December 15th. December 15th in the park. I was.
Oh wait, you did. I think you did.
Where I had to swerve out of a way and hit a pole.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, December 15th. Well, yeah. December 15th, I was at work and I was hungry. So Wendy's is in our parking lot, like literally in the parking lot of our strip mall. And I treated myself and my associate that was with me. I said, okay, well, I'll just go get us Wendy's. So I went and got us some Wendy's. I was on my way back to the store, and a person came around a corner in the parking. And this was in the parking lot. I never left the parking lot. Swerved in front of me from like around a corner, and I went to go avoid them. And as I avoided them, I turned like real sharp to the left, and by the time I could like look up and brake, it was like one of those light poles that you with the concrete umbrella at the bottom of it. Yeah, I clipped that. I clipped the right side of the right side of my car next to the headlight to the wheel well. Got like just crushed in. It was just bad. I had like a bruise on my head. My wife made me go to emergency and stuff just to make sure, because I had a head injury because I hit my head so hard and this and blah blah blah. So I ended up being. You
definitely didn't tell me about this.
Yeah. Well, dude, I didn't tell. It's freaking incredible. So, for like the next week, I was just sore. They came out, looked at the car, said they could fix it. I was kind of worried about that. I was like, man, I hope they can fix this car because I'm not really trying to go and get another one. So, so they could. But this was like right before Christmas, and the dealership that we was taking it to is notorious to having 2.5 weeks before they can even look at your car. It's like just terrible how backed up they are, but they do really good work. So that's why a lot of people just go to that dealership. So we dropped the car off like December 22nd or something, and did not dropped it off. The tow truck came and got it because it was undrivable. So we dropped it off, or they came and picked it up, dropped it off. They called me. I actually had high hopes because they called me the day after Christmas. It was like, hey, we're trying to take the tech is trying to take the wheel off. We need the wheel locks. I was like, oh, they're in the glove box. He's like, well, we tried to see, but we didn't see. I said, they're probably behind some stuff, but they're in the glove box because I recently got all the tires changed and rotated and completely new tires. So I knew they were in there. So I thought that they were like really looking at it, but no, that was just them getting like an estimate of the damage so they could give to the insurance company. And I was like, okay, so they didn't even start working on my car SloMo until like January 6th. Like, so it was like they called me on the 22nd of December. They didn't start working on it till the 6th. Now, this whole time, I have a rental. I had a 2024 Dodge Ram. Nice. I'd never been a pickup guy. This kind of made me like, man, the only reason I wouldn't want to pick up is because I don't want to be the moving guy for everybody out there in the world.
Oh, yeah, everybody gonna want to borrow the truck or borrow you with the truck.
Borrow you and the truck. So I was sitting there like, yeah, I like this, but I don't know if I want to be that. So I got that on the 17th, and they only give you 30 days. So I was like, they said, no matter what, car ready or not, you got to turn it back in 30 days. I said, okay, fine, unless you're going to pay more for it. So they gave me $40 a day. So I ended up getting that. All I had to do was pay the taxes on it, which was like $3.68 a day. That went back yesterday on the 15th. The 15th was the 30 days. They called me and said it might be another week and a half. So I'm like, okay, cool, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I'll be ready. They said we still got to get paint. We still got to get alignments. We still got to take it on a road trip to make sure that everything's good. And if it passes inspection, you should get it back in like 2 weeks. And that was like a week ago. So I was thinking like early next week, I should get the car back. So my wife was like, I said, well, they told me there's not going to be like another week. My wife was like, just call them. It could be different because I don't want to be anybody's taxi driver for like the next 2 weeks. So I was like, okay. So I called them. They said, oh, it's all ready. They said it'll be ready probably, if not today, tomorrow, by Friday at the most. It's got to pass certification. I was like, all right, cool. I said, it's already been through paint and everything. She said, yeah. She said, no, this car looks brand new because there were things that they fixed that I didn't even know if they were part of the accident. It's just that they fixed it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I mean, I don't know if that was part of it, but if you say it was, it was. And so yeah, it's like the brand new paint all the way around and everything, blah, blah, blah. So I should get it back, if not tomorrow. I'm kind of just bracing myself for next week on it. But Yeah, it was bad, bro. Like the dude turned the corner. I barely missed him. He didn't even stop. He just kept going.
So you don't even know if so basically you had to go with your own insurance on that.
Yep, had to go on my own insurance. And the crazy thing is my insurance renews on February 22nd. So I already know it's going up. And my wife told me, she's like, listen, I'm just letting you know that you paying this. Whatever this increase is, you're paying it. I was like, it wasn't my fault. She said it wasn't my fault either. And I'm not the one that's going to pay. Because my wife, she pays the insurance because she it's like certain things that we pay. Like she pays the insurance and she pays like the cell phone bills because she works for T-Mobile and everything. And I pay all the other stuff. So when she saw that, she said, if this goes up by like 30, 40, $50, you're paying it. I was like, oh yeah, whatever. Okay, that's fine. I respect my wife, so I'll do it. But yeah, that's how it was. So I've been driving that Ram for the last 30 days and kind of fell in love with it and had to turn it back in. But the one thing I didn't like is the fact that it didn't have the step ladder. It was one of the ones that didn't have it. Let me tell you, being 5'11", trying to step into and this Ram was lifted. It was lifted like probably a good 3 or 4, probably a good foot off the ground. So you literally had to like put your leg up into the car and pull yourself into the car because it didn't have the little step ladder on the side of it. And I'm sitting there like, this is crazy. But as I'm looking, I never really paid attention to other people in their Rams or Fords and stuff. There are a lot of people out here that don't have the step ladder on the side of their car. And I'm like, y'all crazy. Like SloMo, I think you could probably do it because you're like, what, 6'4"?
Yeah, I'm 6'4".
Yeah, so you could probably just take your long leg and just, pause and just step into it. But yeah, so I think I mentioned this to you. I just never gave you the whole story of it. But yeah, but other than that though, it's been cool. Oh, speaking of which, my weight loss, I am down 84 pounds now.
Nice. That is excellent. Congratulations, man.
Yep, 84.
That is great.
So yep. So we're moving in the right direction there. I told my wife the number one goal was to, little goals, but because we have like the really big beach towels and stuff that I usually like if I take a shower, I use those because they wrap all the way around me. I told her my goal was to get one of the regular towels and be able to wrap that one all the way around me. I said, once I did that, that's like a soft goal right there. Cause I'm real close to it, SloMo, real close to it. But
gotta keep it going, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. But no, outside of that, man, what's been up with you and what you've been playing?
A lot of Call of Duty. I am so far right now. I'm Prestige 5. I got the diamond ARs now, camo. I'm working on the SMGs now. So to getting the SMGs, I have I just need to get like one more gold SMG so that I can unlock diamond camos. And after that, I don't care about camos. I don't care anymore after that. I'm good to go. And I'll just work on getting all the prestiges done. So then I'm just leveling up after that. So been playing a lot of Call of Duty. A couple of friends have been joining me. It's been cool. I haven't played with you at all over the last week, but we'll probably rectify that over the next week. Yeah. Marvel Rivals I've been playing, so I got an issue with Rivals right now, and something that maybe it's just something I know a lot of people are still enjoying it, and it's fine, but I'm still enjoying it too. But ranked is annoying me.
Oh, yeah.
And what my issue with ranked is and this happened today as well. In ranked, you will be in a match, and I think I see, it's like if you play a game like Madden or something like that, and then someone's losing, and then they disconnect. like then the match is over, right? And so what was going on right now, and this happened, and I don't know if this was partially people doing it because they just really had a bad connection or whatever, and they at least tell you when someone disconnects that like they're going to be penalized for it.
Mhm.
But it still goes to show that today I played a good 2 hours of Marvel Rivals ranked and did not rank up anywhere near enough than I felt like I should have. And it's because every time we were about to win, somebody kept disconnecting. And when they would disconnect, like it would end the match for everybody. They just wouldn't do the match any further. And then when I'm losing, my team doesn't disconnect, and I just take a L. And so it seems like whenever I get W's, it is too rare for them to really occur. But like the L's are what they are, and it's just like it's kind of annoying at this point. They gotta find some way to kind of like rectify that. I don't know if the penalties for disconnecting aren't strong enough. I do like how the kind of energy they have for dealing with cheaters. Like I've seen screenshots of cheaters being banned for 100 years. And I love that. Like, if you catch someone cheating, they don't get to come back. Screw that. You're done here, you know? But they gotta do something about the people who are disconnecting, because people don't want to get deranked and they're just trying to protect their rank. And frankly, like, get good, like, cut the BS, play better. You're gonna have some teams where especially if you're playing solo, where they're not actually very good, but it's all a part of the process. It's just like people trying to avoid D ranks by disconnecting. If they are not being deranked even harder by doing that than the regular D rank from taking a loss, then NetEase is doing something wrong. But it is what it is. I think I'm starting to get to the point where I want to play some more single player games again now. I did play a little bit of Fortnite. And Fortnite is Fortnite. It is what it is. I'm having a good time. That's all. I'm having a good time playing games and my live service games. We will. We'll see next week if I actually get to play something single player though.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing too. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention also, I had my first episode filling in for Solve on IOP, and that was fun, man. That was something that was really, really cool, being able to hang out with them and get a chance to see behind the curtain on that show. It's there's a lot of people think that they just go live and they just talk about the news. There's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that most people just probably won't even understand.
Yeah, I can imagine.
To make that show as good as it is, it's a lot of stuff on the background of it, on the back end of it, and and I know a lot of people that were here in the chat. They are from over at IOP. We appreciate you guys coming in. I appreciate everybody that came through and showed love to me being on there for the first episode. I'll basically be over there like three times a week, except for the fourth week because I have to work at least one time a month on a Sunday, and then that's going to pretty much go through probably March until Soft gets back to the show and stuff. But yeah, that was a really, really good time. Definitely. Now nothing compares to your own show with your homie SloMoBackSlap. I'm gonna have to force. We haven't been on DPS, not DPS. We haven't been on IOP together in a long time. I'm gonna have to, like, one of these episodes be like, we need to get SloMo in here so we could have, like, a DPS Iron Lords crossover episode. That would be great.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yeah, we definitely do that. But outside of that, man, let's get into these rapid fires. It's only a couple of them. Let's start with Shuhei. He did an interview with Kind of Funny. This is like the first major interview he's done since he's was demoted at PlayStation. He went over some of the reasons, why, and he also went over a couple of a reason why he thinks that PlayStation hasn't done anything with Bloodborne. And he's also talked about, just PlayStation in general and where Xbox stands. So when it comes to that conversation, I know you said you just saw some just the clips of different conversations he was having with Greg Miller. And shout out to Greg Miller. He wasn't letting up on some of these questions. And I feel like and shout out to Addict because I watched his video on it. It seems like the relationship that Greg Miller and Shu have allows him to be able to basically come at Shu like that, because he was coming at the Shu like real hard about some of these questions. And it was like in a joking manner, but you could definitely tell it's because they have a relationship where Shuhei is not going to really take any of that type of stuff serious and go from there. But what was some of the points that you took away from the things you did get a chance to see from Shuhei during that interview?
I definitely think that his position for a few years at PlayStation is where it is because he wasn't exactly down with the direction of where first party was going with the whole live service push. I think I thought probably the most interesting thing I heard him say when he was talking about Bloodborne in particular, and he didn't seem as if he had like direct hand knowledge of everything, but it seems like his opinion seems to be the most valid to me about why there isn't a Bloodborne remake or a sequel or anything. And he just basically said out of respect for Miyazaki that he wants to work further on Bloodborne, but he's so busy with other games that he just doesn't have the time to work on it. And that kind of made sense to me. But also it's like, I don't know. I guess it's just not important enough for them that they can just go, okay, the patience has run out,
right?
And we're not going to just keep waiting for him to make find the time for this. But I thought that was pretty interesting. His I know some people looked at some of the information that we got, like we said that Helldivers 2 also Spider-Man 2. And I was surprised that some people found that shocking because I thought that was pretty easily understood as far as I'm concerned. Like I thought that was easy to figure out, but it is what it is. I wish him the best in the future. I don't think that he's going to like be the kind of person that ends up somewhere else. He always just seems to me like really loyal to Sony and PlayStation despite it all. And I feel like he probably won't. He probably will just retire from here. Like once it's all said and done, he'll just move on and just retire instead of going somewhere else. I couldn't see him going to a place like like Xbox or something. I know that some people may have thought that he might want to go to like Nintendo, but and I think he actually probably would fit in really well with Nintendo, considering how he, the things that he's interested in and his in the way that he has managed IP in the past. But I think he'll probably just retire from here, which is fine. Like it's everyone's got their day in the sun, and some executives have it for longer, and some of them don't deserve to have it for longer. We're not gonna get into any details on who, but good for him for his run. I think that a lot of what's going on at PlayStation right now, of course, we're going to talk about the 2 games that got canceled. Mm-hmm. If you kind of look at the things that he wanted to push and the way he went about things when he was in charge, I would say he's been somewhat vindicated in his opinions on where the first party should have gone. But we'll see how it goes overall. But what were your thoughts on the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the whole Bloodborne thing was kind of, Bloodborne is always going to be a hot topic because in a lot of people's eyes, it just feels like Sony just keeps ignoring it when I don't think that's the case. And like you said, me too. I thought the same thing. Miyazaki is just busy and he wants to be super hands-on when it comes to that.
Yeah,
game.
he doesn't want anyone else to touch it, which I mean, it's fine to a degree. It's like I get at least you want to be respectful to him. Yeah, like
they could do a 60 frames per second update to the game. They don't have to change the game to be able to do something like that.
And what's the difference between this and say Demon Souls, which they allow Bluepoint.
Yeah, Bluepoint to make the game.
Right. Yeah, like to do a full-on remake of it. Like, so, why can't we just have Bluepoint do a remake of Bloodborne? What's the difference? I don't know. But if
it's probably more to it behind the scenes. Shu, like you said, Shu probably doesn't really know, but I think this is a really good instance of what it could be. And it might just be a little bit more deep to the point where he probably just doesn't want to do it at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, but no, outside of that, like I think I told you in the green room before the show, him basically talking about the direction of Xbox and, how he felt about it. If he felt like it would work. He said he actually likes the direction that Xbox is going in. He said he basically just didn't want to 100% confirm because he doesn't know if it's going to work. He likes, a lot of things. He talked about how Microsoft was pioneering a lot of different things. We talk about how they were the first to put an Ethernet jack on the back of a console when it comes to, online access and stuff and, put a hard drive in the system.
I thought that was Sega. Maybe I'm wrong.
Sega it didn't have an Ethernet. It just had the phone jack.
Oh, okay.
If I remember correctly. I think Xbox was the first one to actually have it natively on the back of the system, if I remember correctly. Aradis is in the chat. He'll let me know if I'm wrong. But they, like you said, he liked the way that they pioneered a lot of different things, and it was just really cool to hear him talk about, handily talk about the other platforms and how he basically said Nintendo is just a different cat and they're just completely different and off on their own. But once again, like you said, I just hope that he found everything that he needed while he was in his position at PlayStation and everything. I do think no matter how it ended with them, he's just loyal to them. Because even when you look at his Twitter and stuff, when things happen, he's very quick to promote and talk about PlayStation and the glowing light that he always has. So I don't think he will ever, kind of, even though nobody would blame him because we don't know the whole story behind it. But,
right.
He basically told, he told Greg, he was like, I don't know what's going on at First Party. He said, I haven't known that for a long time because, after he left First Party, he was working with indie devs and stuff and, not where he is now. So he's completely out of the loop on that type of stuff. So I just hope that he got fulfillment because I think the things he talked about competition and everything is something that a lot of people truly don't understand. It's Xbox kind of bowed out. Nintendo could be competition, but they're doing their own thing. So we're basically just PlayStation, and we don't really have that thing going up against them anymore. So that was the one big thing that I kind of just took from his overall candidacy on what he was talking about. But with that being said, let's move on to another one. Did you get a chance to see that first look of the Until Dawn? Because I know you're 100% in for that.
Yeah. So I saw the trailer. Shout out to I can't remember the character's name, but the actress that plays one of the characters from The Witcher in the Witcher series.
Mm-hmm.
She looks like she's of Indian descent. She is in in this movie. I think she's what is that woman's name? I can't remember. I barely play Witcher, so anyone who's in the chat that's what played The Witcher would know what I'm talking about. But she's in it. I'm kind of two minds with it, and it's like this. So like one, I like the premise of it because I'll watch one of the producers or one of the directors like talk about the idea, the premise of what they're doing. And so essentially it's like this. They're not doing the game straight up. I don't even know if it's really like in the canon to the universe, but essentially you have a group of people who are like stuck in a time loop, and every time they die, they are reborn, and when they're reborn in a different kind of horror movie genre, a different kind of horror movie, story plot or premise that you typically see. Maybe one is like a slasher flick, the next one's like a monster kind of flick, that kind of thing. And I thought that was kind of like a nice mixture of like a Groundhog Day kind of thing, or Happy Death Day, which was horror Groundhog Day, with also just mixing in a bunch of genres. I think what might make it a bit convoluted and difficult to really work with is the fact that typically when you get like a Groundhog Day, a Happy Death Day, there's a main protagonist, there's a main character there that is the focal point.
Mm-hmm.
And as the different like days happen, it is all the same day, just with different variations depending on how that main character decides to make their decisions. Where with this there is a cast of characters like you typically have in like an ensemble kind of horror movie, like a Scream, or I Know What You Did Last Summer, where there is a group and it's not just like Sydney in Scream is the main character, but there is a lot of other people there as well. And when you're dealing with starting over at the beginning, and the point is that you have to live until dawn in order to break the loop. When you have all these cast of characters, it kind of makes it as if like maybe the focus on one main character and their struggle or whatever they have to learn in order to beat the loop and make it to until dawn may be a little bit less important. I'm hoping I'm making sense here with that.
No, but you are.
That, and then just kind of from what I saw, it just didn't really look like a high budget project either. So I'm kind of of two minds with it. The premise is cool. I just wonder about the execution, if it's going to work well once it finally actually is seen. And we'll have to see. We don't have too much longer to wait. It's supposed to come out in like April, right? So
yeah, April.
We got about 3 months to go. But what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm not a huge Until Dawn person, but when I was looking at the trailer and everything, I was like, oh, that's a nice twist to the story where it actually when they bring you back in a different type of scenario. So it like that's like where it kind of differs itself from the game, but and I think it makes it a little bit more followable. Like you could follow it better in a show like this. But the biggest thing, like you said, it ultimately just comes down to the execution and how they do it. Because there's going to be some people that aren't going to like that idea because they're the purists and stuff, and whatever, it's made for TV. You got to do something to keep people engaged. So I think that's a really, really good thing that they're doing there. But for the most part, it's like the same premise of making it till dawn is ultimately the carrot on a stick. It's like you die, it's like day after tomorrow. You live, die, and repeat. And the goal is to make it to dawn. I just don't know like where is the ultimate death in the show. Like in the game, you die. There's no coming back. So I do wonder what ultimate death looks like in this show, because I guarantee there's going to be a situation where somebody's dead, and how that's going to kind of mold that way into the story and everything. I'm willing to give it a chance. I mean, I'll probably be. I mean, everybody always says Until Dawn is like a walking simulator, anyways. When it comes to like just being a game that's on rails and you just are following the story along with QTEs and stuff like that. So I think a lot of people that like watching people play this game, because like I didn't play it myself. I watched my daughter beat this game 4, 5, 6 times. And I really enjoyed the story watching it that way. So I definitely can see myself taking note of the show and just, going in and seeing exactly how they implement it that way. But they have my interest. And like you said, we don't have that long to wait. April is not that far away, and we'll be able to see more. You got anything else? Go ahead.
Yeah, my when they started talking about it, and I can understand like not doing a straight retelling of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think a straight retelling of a story is fine when it's from a game that isn't like strong on story in the first place.
Right.
Like say for example, Halo. Halo's got a good story, but it's you're doing a lot of fighting. If it's a game that is more about the gameplay than the story, then a straight retelling of the story is fine in that sense. I think when you have a game that's like Until Dawn, where the story is a great focal point for it, and it's the main draw to it, a straight retelling probably is going to cause some disappointment. You're going to get some people going to be like, oh, well, I didn't like the way this was executed, or this actress or actor isn't very good, that kind of thing. And it's going to become a problem. And so I think what I thought they were going to do was because they we got the rumor that they're working on the sequel. And I thought that they would do something in the vein of doing a in-between kind of story, like a bridge story or a prequel to the whole thing that took place before the events of the first game. That's where I thought they were going to go with it. This is different, and the fact that they're trying something experimental and a little unique to the horror genre is the reason why I'm fine with the direction that they're going. But I just kind of hope it works. If it doesn't work, then it's just going to be, well, here's another failed video game adaptation, but we'll see what happens.
Last rapid fire. I guess Bunny couldn't keep gamers engaged longer than 6 months because the First Descendant has lost 96% of their player base in 6 months, SloMo.
Not surprised at all.
96%. Just imagine the people that went out there and spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on skins and decided to quit the game.
Yeah, you spent over $100 for a half-naked digital booty, and then the game's gone.
Yeah, the game. I mean, listen, man.
Half-naked digital booty.
You put more time in the game than most people. Like,
yep.
What do you think the failing was when it came?
Let me tell you.
Yeah, please.
Let me tell you. I didn't even feel like I didn't even have the energy, honestly, to make a video on my channel about it, because I was covering First Descendant and Dragon Age on my channel, and I looked at it like, this is what was really disheartening about it is their attempts to try to be like, and I actually made a video of showing concern about this, and I think it was the main reason why it failed, is that there wasn't really anything unique enough about the First Descendant to kind of keep people engaged. It was basically a mix of Destiny and Warframe, but it didn't provide anything unique from those games to differentiate itself and make it like something that people would continue to want to play. And that and the grind. So, it's a live service game, but it's also a looter shooter. Looter shooters and people who enjoy looter shooters they're fine with repetitive content. They expect it. But the repetitive content has to have realistic rewards that are beneficial and feel like it's not taking you too long to get what you're trying to get out of it. That's something that unfortunately First Descendant continue to fail at. Getting the grind done. It's more grindy than Warframe, which is already a game that's more grindy than some people who like looter shooters are find acceptable. But then you'll have like, so they'll come out. You'll get a character. Let's say you get Bunny, and you build up Bunny. And you're building up Bunny in the same manner that like you do in Warframe, where you're like basically you have your build, and then you have mods that go onto your character, and said mods make it so you have to change certain aspects of your build in order to lower the cost of putting that mod on. And then doing so then resets your level, so you have to start all over again. Now imagine you have like 12 slots and you have to do that. You literally have to level up a character 12 times to fully min-max that character. That level of grind, in addition to having a really difficult time getting some mods, like all this stuff made it really frustrating to try to play the game, in addition to getting parts to even build these characters, only for them to come out with an ultimate version of the character that is more efficient than the one you just spent hours upon hours building. And then you got to start the whole process over again. I knew something I knew it was bad because a lot of people stopped playing it, but I knew it was really bad when the one character, Ultimate Bunny, that when the game first launched, and they were charging people like $100, like literally $100 to have access to the buy if you didn't want to do the grind to get that character. They gave that character over the holidays. They gave that character for free.
Really?
And I'm like, wow. So like, in order to get it, to get that character, you had to log in for like 16 days out of the holiday. Just log in. But once you logged in for 16 days, you would get that character. Now I did that. I literally logged in and then I logged out because just like I'm not having fun playing your game. But I got the character, and you know what I did, Forte?
What you do?
I didn't even use it because I thought about it, and I said, do I really want to go through the entire process of leveling up another bunny? I already got a bunny, and I could probably use a lot of the same mods I did before, but having those mods and having a build already set where I didn't have to go find those mods again is different. It's just not the same, considering I still have to mod each mod slot in order to make it cheap enough to put all those mods on. And it's just like, nah, man, I'm not doing this no more. So really, that was the biggest problem. The second biggest problem is that their post-game content just not good enough, man. There's nothing going on there that really is interesting enough for people to stay. Their post-launch content to keep introducing new characters. A lot of those new characters are what you expect. They some big titty, big booty. Like it just is what it is. Big titties and big booty everywhere, and ditzy characters that have zero personality, and they're somewhat interesting in how you play them and unique in their ability, but like the story, let's be frank, the story was pretty terrible, in the base game. It's no better in any of the post launch content. It's not drawing anyone in for that. If you're still interested in the game, you're interested because you like the way the characters look.
Yep.
The game still looks good visually, and you have an addiction to building things. But I have an addiction to building and loadouts and looter shooters. I love that stuff. It's just this game does far too much of it, and the gameplay itself is not unique enough to really keep people playing this instead of Destiny or Warframe. So them losing 96% of their player base, I'm not shocked. Like, that's just I expected that kind of news to come out about it at some point.
Yeah. When what was the other game that lost all their player base that was in the same vein as this? I forget what the name of it was called.
It was a looter.
Yeah. It was
a looter.
Remember, you used to go to like it was one that we played, and it's the one with the big the dude looked like a rhino. The character you could pick the 3 characters at the beginning. One looked like he looked like he was a Titan from Destiny. Then the one girl had
that's the First Descendant.
Was that First Descendant?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is okay because you play. You're right. You run into Bunny. Yeah, that's right. Because you run because you can't pick Bunny off the front. That's right. You're right. Dang, that's
Bunny is unlocked almost by default. Like as you're playing through the campaign, you get the Ice Girl, Valina, something like that. You get the guy with the explosives, bombs, and you get the guy that you said looked like a Titan. Yeah, I forgot their names, but yeah. Those are your 3 defaults off the rip. And then as you're completing each like story section, you have access, or they kind of give you Bunny up front just by like 100 completing certain parts of those missions. You get parts or stuff to unlock Bunny immediately. But for the rest of them, for the most part, you are unfortunately you have to grind for those parts, and the drop rates are not kind. Not kind at all.
No, yeah, I understand. Well, it's just I never really got into it. I did play it a little bit, but it was, I think, right around the time that game was getting ready to come out, I didn't want to jump back into anything that had anything to do with loot in it like that. So I was like, yeah, I'm
understood after Destiny.
Yeah, it's like I gotta step away from this. It's like, as fun as it did look at first, and playing it with you was good, it was like, nah, bro. It was just the whole grind of running in circles and doing stuff over and over again. I was over it. So, but with that being said, let's move over to the first main topic, and we're going to jump right out the window on this one and talk about the Switch 2 reveal. They revealed it at, shout out to Nick the Hate. Everybody was saying that dude don't know what he's talking about. That dude dang near picked.
He is the most accurate leaker out there right now.
Right. Like literally picked the day. I think it came out way early. It came out like at 8:30 this morning was the video that they posted on YouTube, which is cool. And I will tell you this. I really liked the way that the overall presentation of showing people what the difference in this system is. Because if they would have just showed a screenshot of what the Switch 2 looked like, you would have been like, it looks like a Switch. But the fact that they showed like this rendition of the Joy-Cons, like converting over to the new ones and showing a size difference and the screen getting bigger and the different ports and stuff and the kickstand and all that other stuff. I thought it was really, really well done. Now, we don't know anything about the system other than the stuff that we have, and we could talk about some of the leaked specs that have come out for it. But we don't know anything about it. We won't know anything truly about it until April. And it pains me to hear people on Twitter, and I've seen it, people on Twitter literally saying it's going to come out in March. And I'm like, how's it going to come out in March and the direct thing until April?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
And they got like a tour thing going on, and the tour doesn't end until like May.
Right. Oh, it's not
So
coming out.
it doesn't. It's like June at the earliest. Honestly, like that's where.
Yeah. I'm thinking like late May, but at the number, but June sounds perfect for what this is gonna be. But with that being said, SloMo, I know you checked it out. It's not a lot, like I said, not a lot of information on it. But what do you think about it? So for what you saw.
I think it looks nice. I two things I've always said I needed from to get me to get a Switch 2. Backwards compatibility. It has that. They did say that some games may not be backwards compatible. I think I'm chalking that up to a Nintendo ism, where Nintendo messes around with people. I think there might be a few, games that they are super popular that they may not make backwards compatible for whatever reason. But I think for the most part, having digital and physical backwards compatibility is great. I think and the second thing for me was Fire Emblem. You give me a Fire Emblem, I am there. And I haven't seen the Fire Emblem announcement yet. So it is what it is. So until I see that, I'm not getting one, even though my daughter is waiting for me to get one. So because she knows I'm giving her my Switch OLED. As long as I find some pink Joy-Cons to put on it, she's all there.
I got them if you need a pair.
Okay, sounds good. I think so there are some leaked specs that I don't know are real or not. If they're not real, that would be understandable. If they are, then power-wise, essentially, what was shown for the APU was an NVIDIA T239, I think it was called. And I did some research on that. It is a downclocked version of the NVIDIA RTX 2050 Mobile. Now, the 2050 Mobile really isn't an RTX 2000 GPU. It is actually a Ampere generation model architecture, which means that it's really like a RTX 3000, but it's so weak they call it the RTX 2050. And when I looked that up on Tech Power Up, it was 30% slower than a GTX 1060. So the GTX 1060 was essentially kind of like what they were considering the last gen consoles to be around the same power level of specifically I think the mid-gen refreshes were. And so when people are looking at like the kind of power that the Switch 2 could provide, the Switch 1 was clearly not as powerful as an Xbox One and a PlayStation 4, like the ones that came out in 2013.
Yeah.
This is like probably in between those consoles and the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. So that's a level up on power, but still definitely not like the kind of power you're getting from an Xbox Series S or X or a PS5. But that is enough for third parties, I believe, to start putting more of their content on the Switch 2, which is the reason why we're seeing publishers coming out and making comments about it. I saw the Ubisoft's Twitter account, making a post about Switch 2, which indicates, you're going to get more Ubisoft games on there. We've heard, statements made by people and leaks from people saying things like Microsoft is going to be a big player on Switch 2. You'll be surprised by the number of content that they're going to drop on the platform. And I think having it be more powerful and coming off of essentially, one of the most successful hardware launches in the console market ever, a lot of publishers want to get in on the game. We know Call of Duty will be there next year. It's just to be expected that a lot of games are going to show up there, whether they be old games that would have been there if the Switch 1 was powerful enough to handle them, or games that are, brand new releases that want to take advantage of this, huge demographic that plays there. As far as the Joy-Cons go, I hear that, I don't know if those are Hall effect sticks, thumbsticks.
Oh, those things look the same.
They look the same, and but apparently they say they have solved the Joy-Con stick drift issue. I hope that's the case, but if they ain't Hall effect sticks, then I really don't expect much better than what the Switch Joy-Cons had. Overall, there was one other thing. Apparently they're going to have enough stock to potentially push 20 million units in the market this year, which would be amazing.
Yep.
And I think that the demand will be there to sell all of that. And something else to note with that GPU, although with raw power, it may be pretty underpowered compared to the kind of hardware that we're playing in today's time, but it will have access to, it being a Ampere architecture. It will have access to DLSS. Won't be DLSS 4, but we're talking at least DLSS 2, which is good. Very good. I mean, you're going to see, I think you're going to see that being leveraged in a lot of Nintendo games to kind of help those games reach better performance, better visuals, and better frame rates. So that upscaling technology, DLSS is the best. So I think that's going to be probably the best push there for Nintendo when it comes to performance. It might be the reason why we're seeing so many games that will be showing up there. So, I mean, I know a lot of Nintendo fans are excited, and I think the market overall is excited for console gaming because this is probably going to really help the console market overall, where they've been very much in single-digit growth for a few years now. So this, with GTA 6 coming out this year, I think will really push a lot of hardware across the board.
No, I agree 100%. I think most people have just been starving. Like, even myself being a person that had a Switch ever since it's been out and upgraded to multiple different Switches over the course of the generation. Even I put my Switch down probably 7-8 months ago, just because it's like, okay, did I have issues with the games running on the Switch? Not really, but it was still to a point where I was like, I want this to be better. And I know that this system is right around the corner, so I'll wait. I'm not like, especially once that news came out that all of the like a good 99% of all the Switch games are going to be back compat with digital and physical. I was like, oh, there's no reason for me to buy any of these games anymore right now. I'm just going to wait. Like, there's a lot of games that I would have bought on Switch over the course of like the last 6-7 months that I didn't buy, because I'm just going to wait for the Switch 2 to come out, because I want to see what kind of uplift you're going to get, not only on the new games, but what is it going to do for like some of the older games too. So that's the biggest thing that I am really, really looking forward to. And I think it was also smart that they came out and told everybody that the Direct is going to be April 2nd, because there is a couple of rumored leaks out there that Nintendo will be having a Direct in February. And the last thing they need is for people to be thinking that the Switch 2 is going to get more information at that Direct. So the fact that they got ahead of that by saying, no, the Direct for the Switch 2 is going to be in April on the 2nd. I guarantee you they have forward thinking, said we're not going to do this April 1st because everybody's going to say April Fools. So April 2nd is the day for that. And I'm really, really looking forward to that. Another thing is there's a lot of information out here right now about, a lot of people were wondering if we were going to see a game running on it, and they did have an overlay of Mario Kart running on it. And it's also being kind of, people are going out and they're doing a lot of peeping on it to see exactly what they can find out, slowing the gameplay down, trying to get frame rate and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that's a little too much. It's not even showing you a full screen to like let you know exactly what it is. But some people have definitely found out that this looks like it might be a new Mario Kart, because it looks like it has.
I believe it is. It just seems like I haven't played Mario Kart 8, but it seems like different. It had way too many carts on the
it was
screen.
12. Yeah, 12 on the screen.
Yeah, that's not something that you get from Mario Kart 8. So that definitely seemed like that was something that's like Mario Kart 9. And if you recall some of the rumors that were out as late as like a month ago, they were saying that Mario Kart 9 was going to be a release title. I think that might have also been Nate the Hate that said that.
Yeah.
So it's not a shocker. But for me, as you already know, Fire Emblem. If you don't have Fire Emblem, there ain't nothing for me to see until that.
I mean, but there's more RPGs on there than Fire Emblem.
I don't care. I need Fire Emblem.
The only game you want is Fire Emblem. I got you. I'm with you, bro.
Yep.
But it is about time for a new Mario Kart. They've been selling this one since the Wii U. So
right.
It's been well over 7 years at this point. By the time this system comes out, it'll be 8 years. And it only makes sense because every time they come out with a bundle for the system for the holidays, it's always with Mario Kart. So you already pretty much trained people to think that Switch and Mario Kart go together. And of all the games that I've had with my Switch, there's only been 3 games I kept throughout everything with my Switch. It is Mario Kart and Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Those are the only ones I haven't traded in or anything. I always kept those games because Mario Kart is just, my wife gets into Mario Kart. So that's just a whole nother thing right there. So some you already said you think this is going to end up probably being something that's going to release in June.
June or July,
yeah, June or July. Some people were saying the holidays. I said, why? They can just release it in June or July and redouble up again in the holidays and sell more. So they don't have to worry about the holidays. I don't think
they will wait till the holidays. Like they released the last Switch in spring. So yeah, they don't have to wait at all.
They don't have to wait. So
I do think that I still would say that I still think the price.
I was going to ask you that. What do you think this price is going to be?
I'm still going with $400. In United States, $399. And yes, I know there, potentially tariffs that may come into play. That might raise the price up. I get that. I know there is still, like some people think that Nintendo could just charge more and make choose to do so. I think it would be $399 for multiple reasons. One, Nintendo is always making sure that they are cheaper than their competition. And right now, you can get a Xbox Series S for $300. And this is still, making it a little bit more expensive than that. But you got your PlayStation 5 that is digital. That's like $440 or $450. You've got an Xbox Series X that is $500 and consistently goes on sale. I don't think Nintendo wants to be in the $500 price range and being compared, especially when they're going to start putting out more third-party games that are also on those other platforms. And then now your device, with its much, much weaker performance, is being compared to other pieces of hardware at the same price. I think a good portion of the Switch's sales was due to how much cheaper it was to get into gaming on it than it was with the other platforms. And I don't think they want to mess up that advantage that they had. The other thing is that Nintendo always wants to make sure that they are making a profit on the games that the hardware that they sell at launch. They want to make a profit off the rip. You look at what that hardware is doing, more than likely, this Switch 2 is less powerful than your ROG Ally. you're not going to like. They could go at $399 and still make a profit off of every unit sold, because of it being less powerful than the other handhelds that are out there, and that's fine for them, because unlike every other piece of hardware that's going to be on the market, it's going to have games that you can only get there. And I think that like they could be considering if the specs that we've seen are true, that they are cheap enough at $399 where they can still make a profit. And that is essentially where they're going to kind of go with that. If this was a more robust NVIDIA SoC, then I could see, like, hey, look, this is going to be much more expensive than what we were expecting. And yeah, $500 would make sense. But a couple of things that I'm really certain of, they're going to make sure that they are making a profit off of every unit sold. They're going to make sure that it always comes with a dock. There's some people who think that they might sell it without the dock. I don't think that is ever going to be a part of their plans. They may sell a version that can never be docked, like a light, but that will be further down the road. The Switch 2 will always have a dock, and it will always be cheaper than its competition. So those are my thoughts. So I'm thinking $399, dock included, and maybe they'll do a bundle with like Mario Kart 9, and that bundle may have it go up to like $450 or something like that, or but not cheaper than that.
All right. So I just want to bring to your attention that, last time we had a discussion about price. I won.
Oh boy.
I'm not going to say what we won on, but last time we talked about price in consoles, I won. But I will say this. I don't disagree with your premise. I don't disagree with even the facts that you brought to the conversation. Nintendo does want to make money on this system. They ain't going to lose money on it out the gate. And this thing ain't that the overall hardware that they're using ain't life-changing. So it's not like it's going to cost them a lot of money to actually mass produce this and get it out the door for a lot of people to get it. But I will say this. I can see $399. I can see $449 even more, though. And the reason I can see $449 even more, Nintendo does not have a problem with releasing a system at the $50 price mark between hundreds of dollars. They did it with they did it with the new 3DS. That came out. It was at $249, where the regular DS was $200. The OLED, when it released, came out at $349 and $359 if you did the bundles with Mario Kart and everything. Part of me feels like they're initially aren't going to drop, because somebody, Yobi just said in the chat that he hopes that they drop the price of the other Switches. I do agree with that. I do think at some point you will see the Switch, the original version 2 Switch, drop in price. I also think the OLED is going to be the de facto Switch, like the mainline Switch, after they do that. I don't think you'll be able to, still get the regular Switch that's $299 now. I think that one will get phased out. I think it's going to end up still being a 3-prong approach, where they're doing the Switch Lite, which is the handheld only. They're going to do an OLED that's going to probably drop in price to like $249, or it might be $300 out the box first, and then $249 after that. But if they don't drop the price of their regular Switch, that thing's coming out at $450. Because in my eyes, I'm looking like they want to $450.
Okay, go ahead.
$450. Because I think this is if they don't drop the price of the OLED. Because right now the OLED is $350. I think there is a thing of showing a difference between $50 in a system, but I feel like they wanted to make it feel like it's more than that. So they're going to charge you at least $100 more if they don't drop the price of that OLED. If that OLED comes out and it's still $350 when they announce this system and the price of it, this thing's going to be $450. Now, will it stay $450? Probably not. Or even this SloMo. I'll even give you this caveat to it. They didn't announce if this is an OLED screen yet. They just showed the system.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either. Now, if this isn't an OLED, this is an LCD screen, and they follow what they did with Switch 1, it's a good chance you're right. Then the system will drop at $400. But if they announce this thing and it has an OLED screen and everything on it, this thing gonna be $450 all day, every day out the door.
There ain't no OLED screen, man.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. I do agree with you. I don't think it is, but the fact that was the first thing I thought about when I saw the trailer. They talked about the Joy-Cons, they talked about the kickstand, they talked about all the buttons, and they even paused on the USB-C port that they finally put at the top of the system so you can charge it while you're playing it. So I think that was a really cool thing, but I think the screen does matter when it comes to like what this price point it's going to fall at. But I also will go to the point where, like you said, with Xboxes and PlayStations being around that same price point, it's just like laptops. I could go out I could go out right now and get a tower PC for $2,000 that has a 4070, 4080 in it, and be perfectly fine. But if I want that same level of power, or at least something close to it, may not be the actual 4080, like the full 4080 or something, it'll be the mobile version. But if I get that laptop gonna cost me $3,000, $1,000 more, just because it's in a mobile case. And I think that's what a lot of people are not thinking about when it comes to what the price point of this can be. Like the fact that a lot of people are bought Switches because they just like the fact that you could just take this thing on the go. Like maybe I would actually buy Madden. I definitely would buy college football on there if they do it. But people come into the store all the time like, dog, there's no football game on this system. I said, no, EA put everything on there but Madden. I don't know why.
It'll be on there this time, though.
It's going to be on there this time. And guess what? I'll probably buy it on there because as much as I don't too much care for Madden anymore, it is cool to like play certain games on the go like that when you could just pick it up and just play it. And it's just, I think it's gonna kind of endure itself to a lot of other games that a lot of people aren't kind of thinking about. So they don't need all the power because it's Nintendo, because they make a lot of stuff work with the system that they have, with the IPs that they have. This is only going to do is just make those games look and run better. But I do think the third-party support is kind of going to be the thing that's going to push it over the top. So I will say that you are probably more correct than I will be on this prediction, the fact that it's going to be $399. But I only think it's $399 if that's an LCD screen. If that thing comes out to be, and if it's an OLED, it's going to be $449. But those are the only two price points I think they could get away with. I don't think they can. $500. I don't see enough hardware for it to be $500. That's like reserved for personal PCs that you can take on the go with you, like the ROG Ally and the Lenovo and stuff like that, or even what Microsoft's rumored handheld's going to end up being in the near future, because that's going to be like their flagship platform. So it's only time can tell. We ain't got to wait that long. April 2nd is not too far away. But I kind of think that's the direction, and hopefully I just need them to have the games to like, kind of like you said, SloMo. They just got to have games that's going to entice people at launch, and I kind of think they will, because they kind of kept a lot of stuff under wraps when it came to this. I do think outside of the Mario Kart that they did kind of show on the screen, I do think that's probably Mario Kart 9. Metroid is going to be the one that's going to do it for a lot of people, because that's the one that's been the secret rumored game.
Metroid Prime 4.
Yep, that's why they haven't talked about it. I think that's the one that's going to launch. That's going to be the other launch game with the Switch 2.
I can see that. I can see that for certain. I just think that, as usual, people, before the launch of a Nintendo product, people jump out of the window with power, and they expect Nintendo to not be Nintendo. And they just completely forget who they're talking about here. This isn't Xbox. This isn't PlayStation. Their goals and what they view as important is so very different than what, you know. This is also the reason why I said that like Shuhei would fit in really well at Nintendo if he ever wanted to go that route. Is that Nintendo cares about fun. Like
Yes.
they really be like, they will push fun, and they want that to be, if it's not, if the game, they don't think the game is fun, then they're not going to release it. And Shuhei says something about how he always like will ask the question, well, how was this fun?
Yeah.
And I feel like in a lot of different ways, PlayStation has lost sight of that, and has been pushing for, you know, certain metrics and what those things may provide, you know, for their platform. But you know, if you're not asking the question of what's fun, then what are you doing here? And I think that's what the Nintendo cares about. They don't really care as much about how powerful the hardware is. Like that's less important overall for them. And so yeah, man, like just when you think about it in that sense, and that like context, it's going to be no surprise that like they're not really trying to push, you know, hardware like that. They're not trying to give you a LED screen. They're not trying to give you DLSS 4 because Nvidia just came out with it. You're not getting multi-frame generation. You ain't getting none of that stuff, man. They're bringing in some technology that was, I mean, I would say having DLSS is shocking enough as it is. Really, if you think about the grand scheme of things, that's technology that came out 2020. So it's good that they you getting that. Hey, here's technology from 2020, from 5 years ago.
I mean, but for them, I think that will work just due to the fact that it's in a handheld form factor, and people have been playing 30 frames per second for so long. You know, anything on that handheld is going to feel better. So, and plus, a lot of people, and that's the one thing I will say that people have learned to kind of forgive, is if you're playing on a handheld, you're willing to sacrifice performance. But the one thing that was really interesting, if you come down to some more of the leaked specs, the fact that this dock is supposedly going to give it more power. Like, it's being rumored that you're getting just over like 1.5 teraflops if you're just using a handheld, and it's close to like 3.6 if you're using the dock itself. So the only thing that I can see this being, because I don't know if there's actually any hardware in the dock doing this. It just kind of feels like they finally implemented something like laptops have. When your laptop is plugged up, you're in overdrive and you're able to use the full power of your system. But when you're on battery, it's kind of scaled back. So I'm wondering how, if that is the case, how that's going to work, because people don't. Now, that's the one thing people don't, you know, want to sacrifice is when you're playing on a TV, you know, especially with the size of these TVs now, you know, 1080p on a 80-inch screen don't look all that good. Don't look good at all. Kind of looks terrible. Even with all of the upscaling and stuff, all of the temporal things that they can do, it just doesn't look natively good. So wondering exactly what's going to happen with that, with the dock. And I do think if that's the case, I'm really happy that they found a way to do that. And I think a lot of other people will be able to.
I agree with Lucius in the chat. It adds more power, but the dock itself, like, it doesn't have any kind of performance upgrade. So essentially, not having to worry about power consumption because it will drain the battery allows it to kind of the hardware that is in there to reach its full potential. And so that's more probably along the lines of where they're going with it. And again, that also cuts down on costs when you don't have a dock that's doing, you know, isn't almost kind of like a eGPU kind of thing or something like that. So this is I think overall it's going to be a good upgrade for people who are primarily Nintendo gamers and haven't had the opportunity to really play their games in anything but like 540p and
right, yeah, right,
that kind of stuff.
yeah. Definitely agree with that. All right, let's move over to the next subject. Let's talk about Sony cancels 2 live service games. So Jason Schreier earlier today announced that PlayStation canceled 2 live service games. One being by Blue Point, which was a live service God of War game. It just seems like, for me, I'll just go real quick. Just for me, it just seems like the whole live service bubble that PlayStation was sitting on just burst. Like, they're trying. It's like, it's not that they're not trying to do it anymore, because they still got like Fair Games and stuff with their game releasing. We still got Bungie, even though that was greenlit way before the purchase of Bungie. It is still something that's going to fall under PlayStation with Marathon. It's not that they're stopping, trying to do these live service games, but there is a huge level of scrutiny around these games right now, especially with the fact that they want to get back to their whole, PlayStation way that they were doing their games before when it comes to single player games. And that was something that they kind of promised people, that they would get back to that single player notion of the ways that they like to make games. But Ben, we saw Concord just get canceled, this unannounced, God of War game. And first of all, who the heck wanted a God of War online game?
Yeah, that was such a bad idea. Like, what are we doing here?
Last time I know some people liked Ascension, the multiplayer in it, but it didn't move the needle. So what made you think this is going to move the needle? So
yeah.
So what do you think about all this, Lama?
So not surprised they got canceled. I think that like a big issue that they've had with some of these ideas is that they went with too many live service projects with no real like idea of like how like if this is actually a good idea or not. A lot of them got canceled. At least for the most part, at least a lot of these were not announced games, so therefore it wasn't like, it's even worse if you already announced the game and then you cancel it, like Factions 2 was. But I think when it really comes down to it here is that they are learning that like some of these ideas just aren't going to work. And, we don't want to see another Concord happen, clearly. Like, and it is unfortunate that like you got Sony Bend right now that wasted years on this project, as well as Blue Point. Wasted years on a project that isn't going to see the light of day, and when you don't have a showcase, you don't have a roadmap, nobody knows what you're really, really working on beyond 2025. It's going to lead to a lot of frustration from people who actually enjoy PlayStation games and want to see what PlayStation is doing, want to, understand what the roadmap is looking like in the future. And as of right now, what you really got is what Insomniac's doing, not because they told you, but because it got leaked out. You know what's happening with Naughty Dog, mostly because they've had the damage control, the failure of Factions. And that's just not enough. Like, just keep it a buck. It's not enough. When you look at where they're at with their roadmap for this year, there is Ghost of Yotai, which I think a lot of people probably have a lot of confidence in based off of Ghost of Tsushima and Sucker Punch in general. You've got Death Stranding 2, which is a second-party game for them. I'm not going to say what I normally say about Death Stranding 2. There's some people who are going to enjoy it. That's fine. The first game wasn't a major seller though, so you can kind of understand where that likely the second one probably isn't going to be a massive seller of software or hardware as well. But then everything else from there really is Lost Soul aside, maybe a few other seems like very samurai centric kind of titles. You got some live service games here with Marathon, with Fair Games, with I feel like I'm missing one. But Horizon Online.
Yeah,
But
Horizon Online.
I think there's a lot of uncertainty there. And I feel like, and maybe it's just me, but Herman Holst has a lot of uncertainty with his leadership for first party as well. And I'm gonna give this guy the same kind of smoke I give Matt Booty. What the heck is wrong with you thinking that freaking Concord was going to be like your Star Wars? Are you high? Like, do you do drugs? What made you think that the IP had any kind of aura like that? Like, it's shocking that he's so like poor judge of like character when it comes to those kind of things. And the really, I think, overplayed push of Horizon, kind of like really like Shuhei said that he was his biggest shocker with disappointment in sales was Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
I wasn't surprised either.
It's got a boring main character with a boring story, but it's beautiful. And Decima Engine is beautiful. I liken the Horizon IP as more of a tech demo for Decima Engine, because it kind of like what Epic used to do with Gears of War. I mean, Gears of War really was more of a tech demo for them to showcase what you can do in Unreal. And maybe that's what they really should be doing with Horizon. But like and I know that there's some people who enjoy that game. I ain't one of them. And I think when you, in the grand scheme of things, if you're disappointed with sales of Horizon Forbidden West, maybe there are a lot of people that kind of feel how I feel about that title. But one thing I will say, although I do not have confidence in Herman Holst, I do have confidence in PlayStation's ability to pivot when someone is not working out, which is something that I haven't seen with Xbox. Xbox will have somebody in place. They're clearly not getting the job done. Nothing happens. Whereas with PlayStation, if someone's in place and they're not working out or they're not with the program, they get gone, whether it's for better or for worse. Right. We saw that for worse with Shuhei, potentially probably for the better when it comes to Jim Ryan. But I think that, if we'll know this year if Herman's going to work out on that. I feel like if Fair Games is a failure and Marathon bombs as well, we ain't going to be talking about Herman Holst no more. There's going to be somebody else in that role. And that should be the way it is. You need to be held accountable for delivering or not delivering. It ain't a personal thing. And you may be the nicest guy in the world, but if you ain't getting the job done, it's business, baby. I don't know what else to tell you. It ain't personal, but you got to go. Pack it up, and we will mail everything else in your office to you. But good luck out there. And that just kind of needs to happen if things don't turn around on that front. And maybe them, because we don't know this, right? Maybe them canceling those games was the best move because they were definitely going to go the way of Concord and not the way of Helldivers 2. Hey. Miko says my audio is crackling or tripping out.
The stream is saying it's not getting enough bandwidth for some reason. So YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming.
What is your bit rate at?
Can you see? Oh, I got to look in OBS to see. Right. My bit rate is output for streaming.
Yeah, I don't want to keep going unless people can't hear me.
My bit rate's only 4,000. Ooh, why is it only 4,000?
Zilla is slow-mo fixture audio. I'm not doing anything.
He's not.
I'm not hosting.
He's not doing anything. That's YouTube being YouTube right now. Here, I'm gonna turn my bit rate up.
Just bear with us. We'll get it working in a second.
Turn my bit rate up some.
Well, what is your bit rate at the moment?
5,000.
And you're streaming at what resolution?
1080p.
That is, I mean, you could probably go up a bit more, but 1080p it should be fine for that.
Should be. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's just acting up, but apply. Okay. All right, I applied that. Let's see. Give it a second to see if it catches up.
Okay. But yeah,
Miko said your
I'll
audio is tripping.
I'll keep going.
Yeah,
I think Sony overall will course correct and fix it. But when I say fix it, as in find leadership that can actually deliver on the goals that they're looking for. I don't think that they are going to stop the whole live service push. Give me 1 second though, okay?
Yeah, take your time. Yeah, Zilla Nation said YouTube been tripping this week. Oh, Brian, he said I just got premium too. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, he said we're both clear right now. So it's still giving me this freaking error, but you know, as long as I'm looking at the replay, it doesn't look like it's stuttering anymore. That I turned the bit rate up some. Yobi, leave me alone, Yobi. This is not my fault, Yobi. Yobi. I love you, Yobi, but it's not always my fault. Sometimes it's SloMo's fault. It just hasn't been SloMo's fault lately. But outside of that,
yeah, I'm back.
You back? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's they said they can hear us better now.
All right. Good. So yeah. What are your thoughts overall on it? I know I said a whole lot. I'll finish my thought.
No, yeah, go ahead.
There are people who feel like everything they do that's live service is going to fail. I would say, do you feel like I feel like there is a lot of biases that go into play when people just automatically write things off. I'm never one to write off a game that I haven't even seen, even like a screenshot of the actual gameplay of. I haven't seen a snippet, a gameplay, not even a small clip, nothing. I've seen nothing of the gameplay of the game. So I can't say Fair Games is going to be a failure. Based upon what? Based upon just the assumption that they can never do anything right with live service. All right, but they did. Helldivers 2 was successful. So that's not true. And you know, Jay Raymond hasn't had a game launched in like a decade. That's also true. Also, some of those things are out of her control. I think we gotta allow things to happen. You know, show some patience, because you know I the same way that I waited, you know, and I was excited for Redfall, and even when they leaked some really unfinished screenshots of the game, I was still like, you know, let's wait and see when they actually show it. We can't just base the game's failure off of that. But then once they showed it, it was like, okay, this is a problem, right? like I don't want to say a game is going to be a failure without actually seeing what it can actually do, seeing what it actually is. We have ideas of what they said Fair Games was. And look, if you're not someone who was ever interested in Payday or those kind of games, it's probably not going to be your jam. But just because it's not your jam, that it doesn't mean that it won't appeal to other people. Just because Payday 3 failed doesn't mean that this will also fail, or every game that's of that kind of game design will fail. We just gotta kind of see it play out and see what the gameplay actually is, and see if it's going to be appealing or not. And that's not me saying Fair Games is going to be good. I'm just saying let's not pass judgment yet. I even say that for Marathon, even though you know how I feel about Bungie these days, but or extraction shooters in general. But if the game has a great gameplay loop and great gunplay, which we know Bungie can deliver, it has the potential to deliver, or at least create a game that people will, on the live service front, consistently play, especially if they have a post-launch content delivery that is going to really kind of keep people engaged. There's always those opportunities for that, but that still doesn't change the fact they basically wasted. There's 3 studios now that have wasted years of time and resources and money on games that we will never see. And that's Naughty Dog with Factions 2. That is Blue Point with this God of War multiplayer game, that whatever. And whatever the heck that Sony Bend was doing. And I know they may have said that Sony Bend and Blue Point are safe. I absolutely believe that is true. Blue Point is very beneficial to them as a studio that can go back and take old IP and modernize it, and that is fantastic. And maybe that's what they need to keep doing. Everyone was like, "Hey, I want to see Blue Point make their own game." All right, well, that got canceled. Are you sure you want that? Sony Bend, I don't know. Like maybe Sony Bend, it should be better off as a support studio. I don't know. They were doing some support work for what was it? They were doing support work for God of War Ragnarok. They were doing support work for The Last of Us Part 1. When that got remade. Oh yeah, Around True. The live service Spider-Man game was that one actually wasn't canceled because it was actually never approved. So it was a prototype, and it was pitched to Sony as another live service game, and they said no, which I thought that was like, if you're going to take some of your existing IP and turn it into a multiplayer thing, I thought that probably would have been, especially considering the Spider-Verse and all the different characters they could have added to that. That would have been an easy transition, especially for Insomniac. But I think this is them still learning what is and is not a good idea.
Right.
And hopefully that they'll get that figured out sooner rather than later, because there's only so many failures you're going to have before people begin to just write off anything that you do in that kind of arena. And as we see now, there are already people that just write off everything they do when it comes to live service. Mm-hmm. And there's only so many times you're gonna keep having failures or games canceled before people they don't pay attention to you when it comes to that kind of stuff. But yeah, anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, well, we have entered the IOP part of this, because Infinite Umbra has requested you to wager your knees on Fair Games failure. And he called you his Canadian brother, and last time I checked, you didn't live in Canada. But he said, "Would you perhaps
let me explain this?
Yeah, there's something going on there. Go ahead.
Umbra, I did not say Fair Games was going to be good. I said you should wait until Fair Games actually shows gameplay before you pass judgment on it, which is what you've been doing, sir. Passing judgment on a game that you haven't seen yet. I didn't see you do that when Starfield was not showing gameplay yet. I don't think you've passed judgment on any Xbox games and said that those games were going to be bad before you saw anything. All I'm asking is for equal objective, fairness here. That's all I'm asking, Mr. Infinite Umbra. And the whole Canadian thing, Forte, let me explain this to you, okay? Let me explain the colorism that's going on in here. Yes, I said colorism, because you know who's Canadian and is a rapper that's suing everybody because he lost a rap battle.
Oh yeah. We know about OVA.
Yeah. He light skinned, right?
Yeah.
So because I'm light skinned, I gotta get looped into that. Like we all, it's funny because if a dark skinned brother fails at something, nobody will says, "Oh, all of us dark skinned brothers are failures." Period, because this one dark-skinned brother failed. But let a light-skinned dude be an embarrassment to all other light-skinned people. And then now it's all of our embarrassment. It's all of our failures somehow. I am not even a Drake fan. He is a biter of flows, and I ain't like this man ever. But apparently, I'm Canadian now because he's a failure. So this is where we get the whole Canadian thing.
Yeah, that's where Rodovich
says
SloMo is part of that Drake family. Canada is where all the light-skinned brothers come from. I mean,
like we ain't got light-skinned people in America.
My brother's high yellow, so.
Like we ain't the originators of light skin out here.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? There's just a lot of hating. Just a lot of hating right now. Anyway.
That's funny, bro. No,
I think I think I forgot what I was about to say. No, I was asking you what were your thoughts about all this, because I've been doing a lot of talking.
No, I mean,
you haven't given your opinion yet.
No, you said quite a bit of it. Trying to cherry pick and not cross over where you did, but it's gonna be hard. But I felt like, so this is the thing for me, it was accelerated way too fast. It's like they went from 0 to 100, 0 to 150, and it felt like less than a year. They greenlit all of these live service games and try to get them out the door, and it didn't even have a plan in place. They're starting to see, and this is the funny thing, what you see with Marvel Rivals right now is what they were hoping one of these games would do. But the only difference is that's with an established IP called Marvel, and it already was going to get at least a good handshake, a good chance to kind of show if it was going to be worth the merit of people playing it because it had Marvel characters. Then it just comes to be that the game is actually fun and people just enjoy playing it. And that's why you see record-breaking numbers on that game. Like today, they announced they hit an all-time new player count of like over 532,000 people in a 24-hour period. That's ridiculous, for a game that's not been out that long. So they see all of this, and these are the things that they were kind of chasing after. But the thing is, they went about it way too fast. They greenlit way too many different things. It's like, it's the same thing I said about Bungie. Like, why would you greenlight all these incubation projects to take away from the game that was bringing the money in? Like, you took money away from the cow, you took grass away from the cow, and now the cow is starving. And people want to know why you don't want to eat. Why don't you want to invest in this cow anymore? Because this cow is now malnutrition. It's about to pass out and die. So that's why you see all of these different things that Sony's like making they're implementing all these different changes, want to get back to their roots and start making, first party games the way that they normally did. They never stopped doing it, but I swear when those documents from the ABK deal and all that other stuff came out, where they were talking about how much money they were investing, like they weren't investing less money into first party games, like when it came to single player games. That was never the thing they were doing. The thing is, they were spending more money in live service, but the increase in live service wasn't being met by the increase. I mean, the increase in single player wasn't being met by the increase in live service games. And that was the biggest problem. And that's why you don't see a roadmap right now. Like somebody in the chat just said, it said now you're starting to see PlayStation's cancellation roadmap. That's what it is right now. They're canceling more games than they're actually announcing right now because their plans were completely different coming into 2022. 2021, 2022, it was a completely different idea what Sony wanted to do. Sure, they still wanted to give you your third person over the shoulder, story driven action games and stuff like that. But they wanted to see what was going to happen with these other games to see if they can like kind of, strike lightning in a bottle like Marvel did, like they did with Marvel Rivals and stuff. So it all makes sense to me. The question that really is on everybody's minds is Nate the Hate came out with a prediction saying that they were going to have a state of play in February. Now, they could have a state of play in February, but is it going to be what people want? Is this going to be a first party state of play? Because every state of play up to this point has been basically partners and stuff at this point.
Well, I've been saying this for a little while, and this is nothing that I've heard, but this is just my opinion.
By the way, we're back to excellent connection now, so we're good again.
Good. I don't think we're getting showcases from Sony anymore.
Nope, I don't either.
Is not necessarily a problem. My problem with them, if that's the route they're going, is the lack of communication. That is going to be how they do things going forward. If you want to be like Nintendo and everything that you show is a Nintendo Direct, cool. That's okay. It works for Nintendo. That's the direction to go. You'll have, 3 to 4, like state of plays a year that will be a mix of third party, second party, and first party content. If you look over the past 2 years, that's really what they've been doing. When we saw Concord for the first time, it was a state of play. Mm-hmm. When we saw Spider-Man 2, it was Spider-Man 2, I think, was their last showcase. But all of the first party content and exclusive content, period, that they've been doing, whether it's first, second, or third party, has all been at state of plays. And if you took all that stuff and you held it for a showcase, you would have, a decent sized showcase. But it just seems like that's not their move anymore. Maybe they feel like with the development pipeline and where their studios are, they just don't have enough studios ready to show something where they can feel like comfortable with it, not the game design of the game, and it not changing drastically from launch to justify a showcase. And they're just like, well, let's just do state of plays going forward where we can just, people aren't going to expect it in June, like the June showcase or the Dev Direct that my Xbox does in January, but they expect, when we got it to give, we'll give it. There's no problem with that. You just got to communicate with people so they're not waiting for a showcase that never happens, and they're not being swindled by people or tricked by people who think these fake Sony these PlayStation insiders have information when they say, oh, there's a showcase coming, and there's no showcase coming. There's never going to be a showcase coming. And I kind of feel like that's what's going on. But ever since, Jim Ryan took over, who's no longer here, but ever since he started, I feel like communication with PlayStation has been spotty at best. They're good at communicating what their goals are with platforms and where to expect their games, but they're not good at communicating their actual content, getting people roadmaps of what to look forward to. All that stuff is very much still like mixed, and I just kind of wonder about that. My bad. You were saying.
No, you're good. No, you're good, bro. I mean, listen, you got a lot to get off your chest. I understand. But no, that's all I had to say around it. It was just, Sony we'll see exactly what their plans are going to be in the near future. At some point, they got to talk about some of these games that's on the horizon. Like, we don't know. We know that what's his name was working on. They were working on a Horizon multiplayer game for Gorilla. We don't know what the deal on that is. There's just a lot of different things we just don't know what they're doing, and kind of just want to get a lot of that stuff out in the air right now. So, all right, let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk about Activision and Game Pass. There was a couple of investors were talking about how Activision they feel like it's underperforming and it's not helping Game Pass numbers as much as they thought it would be. Now, this has all come on the heels of Call of Duty for the first time being inside of Game Pass. So there might be some correlation to the point where a lot of Xbox gamers that would have bought Call of Duty didn't buy Call of Duty because they didn't have to, because it was in Game Pass. And the fact that those people are already Game Pass subscribers, it's not like that number is going to go up or anything because they're already active members of Game Pass in general. But, the biggest thing I want to ask you is, in your thoughts on it is, would you consider this Call of Duty being inside of Game Pass, just being a person on the outside looking at it, as a success? Or do you think that this is going to be something that Microsoft's going to revisit in the future and probably change?
I think some of the information, I think Microsoft responded to some of that reports and said there was like incomplete information that
Yeah, I know that about
I
the
can't remember the
Saudi.
exact term.
Yeah, the Saudi stuff we talk about, and we're just gonna talk about it just for the fact that it did come up as a conversation about them shutting down in 2021. I know that has been disputed by Microsoft, saying that wasn't the case. And like you just said, some of the information around Game Pass performance and Call of Duty performance and stuff has kind of been not exactly what people. And we don't know the actual numbers because we're not Microsoft. But go ahead and finish what you were about to say. I'm sorry.
I don't think Call of Duty is a failure or ABK has been a disappointment. It doesn't really seem to make sense that anyone would believe that when you look over the last year, the vast majority of the double-digit revenue growth that the gaming division enjoyed was due to the addition of ABK in the Microsoft gaming financial umbrella. Like, there was very little growth outside of that, like single-digit growth, period. I think all the quarterlies that they show data on, I think the highest single, like, outside of APK growth they had was like revenue-wise was like 6 or 8% or something like that. So it just, like, how is ABK a disappointment when it's the only thing that brought you any kind of positive financial reports over the past year. So I don't know with this one person that is, I think, what was he, an investor, or he works with investment for Microsoft. I can't remember his exact role.
Yeah, it was two different investors in two different parts of investing inside of Microsoft's portfolio.
Maybe he didn't agree with them making the APK acquisition and whatever, but gaming wise and for what APK is and what it was to provide, you would be foolish to think it was going to do any more than what it actually did. APK did not do any grand changes to how they do business once they got acquired by Microsoft. It was business as usual. Business as usual is dropping Call of Duty and then Blizzard doing some other things and King doing some other things. But as far as on in the markets that we in gaming that we pay attention to, it is Call of Duty every year, and you got like 8 to 9 studios that work on that. And the issues that Black Ops 6 has right now are not issues that are new to Call of Duty. People have been complaining about cheaters and skill-based matchmaking for forever. So if you think that is the reason why people are like not playing Call of Duty right now, or no, because they've been complaining about issues with Call of Duty. And these issues have been there for years, and it doesn't change anything. Like, yeah, some people are playing Marvel Rivals. That's cool. But they'll come back to Call of Duty like they always do. The game is doing fine. And so I just kind of wonder if like some of the like these reports that seem to get like turn into a big deal or just really just people trying to generate some conversation and discussion at times where they feel like there's none to really be had. I don't think it really means much of anything. Now, if you want to talk about disappointment,
that's a whole
you want to
nother
look
thing.
at the rest of Microsoft gaming. It ain't ABK that's a disappointment.
Exactly.
ABK, the people at ABK aren't managing Xbox Game Studios or ZeniMax Media, or whether those games are in development for those other publishing arms under Microsoft Gaming or hitting their milestones or not. None of that stuff is being Brian Neese says, who's playing Kratos? That is not my gameplay, Brian Neese. You need to talk to Forte.
This was terrible gameplay, sir. This is like trying to play. I picked the game back up after like 7 months of playing it and forgot how to play as Kratos.
Yeah.
But leave me alone.
And I think if part of the issue here is that it didn't like drastically change Game Pass subscribers, I think it was something that we talked about on the show multiple times that we didn't think that was ever going to really be the case anyway. If you have people who primarily play your typical popular games every year, they play Fortnite, they play NBA 2K, they play some Madden, maybe some EAFC sports, and they play Call of Duty. None of those games are in Game Pass except for Call of Duty. And if you think they were going to subscribe to Game Pass indefinitely in order to play Call of Duty, that's spending more money on an annual basis than just buying Call of Duty the normal way they would, getting the game, probably getting a couple of season passes. If you did Black Sale and all the season passes for the annual Call of Duty release, you're spending less money than just being subscribed to Game Pass Ultimate for a full year. So it's just like it wasn't. If you're someone that is into Call of Duty and you didn't have Game Pass, you're kind of like wasting your money by doing that. I think a lot of people that are playing the game through Game Pass, like myself, are people who were already subscribed to Game Pass. So you didn't see a significant jump in sustained, subscriber, new additions and subscribers because of that. Because a lot of people is just like, all right, bet. I was going to buy Call of Duty this year, but it's in Game Pass, and I'm already subscribed. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to just play it with a subscription I already got. I mean, I just don't see it as the big deal that people seem to trying to make it out to be.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. This is the first Call of Duty I've gotten into in a long time. I played the last 3 of them, but this is the one I probably played the most consistently. And this is the one I actually decided to actually play sometimes when I'm not playing with anybody else. So I feel like for myself, this game has been a success. And the fact, like, Rodimus just talked about how content and service revenue was up 61%. If that's the case, it ain't because of that. That ain't because what Microsoft put out there. That's because AVK came to the party and actually delivered. And a lot of people aren't looking at all the other different numbers and everything. But this mostly just keeps coming back to the conversation about the direction Xbox is going in. Some people believe that they are going to be the downfall of Activision and stuff because of their content strategy and everything like that. I think the biggest problem for me, and I talked about this on IOP, is the fact that you can't find an Xbox version of this game anywhere. If there's any failures, on Microsoft's side, it's just the fact that they just don't believe in physical media anymore. When even knowing, 70+% of people, maybe even 80% plus people prefer to play digital or buy digital, 20% is still a lot of people, of the amount of people that still go out and buy games. That's like 2, 3, maybe 4 million people that didn't get a chance to buy the game on Xbox because there's just not a physical version available. I could tell you right now, over the course of like the last month, I've probably seen 10 copies of Xbox for Call of Duty Black Ops 6 versus well over 100 copies for PlayStation. It's like, it's not even close. Like today, I got I want to say 12 copies for PlayStation and only 1 for Xbox. I'm like, and I know Xbox, they shut down their physical media division and everything like that. So we kind of knew this was the direction they were kind of moving in. But it's just the fact that the more and more it's like you want to say that you are everywhere, but then you're taking avenues away from people to show that you're everywhere. Just because they're not buying, it digital doesn't mean that those gamers are worth less than other gamers and stuff. And then if you start going back and you start really looking at it, reports of the Series X being hard to find, that's a real thing. Like, you can find the digital Series X. Like, I have a couple of those in my store, but I haven't had a black one, the physical one, probably since Christmas. And this goes back to those leaked documents from, once again, where they came out with like all of the stuff, all the roadmap and stuff for the consoles. And Phil Spencer said that a lot of that stuff was subject to change and some of it has changed. But it doesn't look like that console one has changed, because if you looked at that console one, it said that we're going to get the new console, which is the digital Series S, in 2024. And they also said to be discontinued, the Lockhart version, or whatever the version is we have now, which is the Black Series S, was going to be discontinued. And it sure feel like that thing is discontinued almost, because you ain't seeing them in stores. So that's just another way that it just feels like, once again, Microsoft says everything's an Xbox, which doesn't really, hurt this thing, but it does take away the fact that people get a chance to play the games the way they want to play them. So if they are going to be like struggling with Activision by not having sales or anything like that, it's mostly due to a lot of things that they did to themselves. But I don't think this report in general is true, just for the fact that, ABK has, like you said, SloMo, they haven't done anything different. They're still operating pretty much the way they were operating before they were purchased by Xbox. The only difference is Call of Duty ended up in Game Pass, which, if we go off of, just the past, Game Pass Xbox has already sold the least amount of games, and they're selling more on PlayStation, and people are buying the game on PC for the most part. There's very few people that actually play it through Game Pass on PC. I mean, it's probably a decent amount of numbers, but a lot of people probably play it on Xbox because they have Game Pass there. So that might be where the fall off is, but I don't think it's something that is really worrisome to them. Now, will they make changes in the future to things like their content strategy in the future? I don't think so, because I think if they did something like that, that's kind of telling people that Game Pass is kind of a flop, because you would just have to take it out of Game Pass, and I don't think that's going to be the case. They already kind of doubled down on something like that by telling people that we're separating the different tiers, and if you want day-and-date games, you got to be on Ultimate, which gives you PC and everything. So I think that's kind of where we're going to sit at. And I think it's still a little too early to tell what's going to happen with Activision and Game Pass and Microsoft and that and everything being put together, because they're still not even they're still like a year. They're not even a year out from the acquisition. They're still doing a lot of stuff in the background where they're trying to like merge different departments and everything. They're trying to figure out what they want to do with the content strategy. They're still trying to figure out how mobile and cloud work into this. So it's kind of crazy to try to, for people to think that this is something that is like worrisome when they haven't even figured out the whole thing yet. Now, if this was like year 2 or year 3 And people were saying this, and numbers were kind of like backing that, like how Game Pass hasn't really had that much growth on console and stuff. That's when you start asking questions. But right now, I think it's just way too early to kind of cast aspersions on what Microsoft and Activision and how their performance is actually working, especially when, you know, the numbers don't dictate that at this point.
Yeah, I think if you're worried about ABK, you're worried about the wrong thing when it comes to Microsoft gaming, because that's not really the part that's you should be concerned about. I think that
Right.
their push this year, as well as last year, when it seems to be about putting their exclusive content on their competitors' platforms, is more of a concern than what ABK is doing, in my opinion. So, I think they understand what they're doing, and they do not care.
Right.
They don't
They don't
care
care.
about how Xbox fans feel about it. They don't care that Xbox fans feel betrayed. They got Phil out here contradicting things that he said 2-3 years ago. And if you say, well, I'm going to PC, all right then. We want you to go to PC. That means we ain't got to worry about selling you hardware again. And you'll still engage with our games.
Yep.
So thank you.
Because I do it every day.
Well,
trust me, they don't care.
Well, I'm going to PlayStation. All right.
Buy our games there.
You go to PlayStation and you buy our games there full price. They don't care what the Xbox fan thinks. And I don't say that to be disrespectful or anything, but it is where they are right now. And we have said everything to blue in the face in regards to what this means for Xbox hardware, how it devalues it, how, you know, like, how are you going to sell future hardware in the future, whether it's going to sell or not. What Forte said about you can't find Xboxes, you can't find them because they're selling out. They're not making them.
Yeah.
Retailers aren't buying more units to put on shelves, and they're not going to TSMC and getting more chiplets made.
Nope.
I mean, they're doing it, but they're doing it in smaller supply because there's no purpose in wasting the money to get things built and made that aren't being sold. And so what you're seeing here is them kind of, you know, taking things, you know, down supply-wise. And when they do come out with Xbox hardware, don't be surprised if it's a non-subsidized piece of hardware that you won't be so many units out in the wild to buy.
Right.
It all kind of ties that we talked about, you know, the whole rumor last week about Xbox Prime. And you know, but then also you got Jason Ronald, who's now with the head of Next Generation or something like that, where he's pushing, you know, and doing SES talking on stage with other PC manufacturers who make PC handheld devices about how to put, you know, a Windows OS that's tailored for gaming on their devices. I mean, we could just read the tea leaves here, people. It's they don't care about Xbox consoles anymore. And I think the sooner people get on the program with that, the better.
Yeah, I mean, I used to not think that was the case, but being a person that works at the retail level, it's like I see. It's not like they gave up on it, but the fight to try to make it work, or the fight to try to survive in that ecosystem, it just doesn't seem like it's there. It's like I applaud Microsoft at first when they made this decision to like kind of lean into their core competency in software. I just felt like they leaned into it way too hard. It's like they almost are, you know, actively telling people that we're not a hardware company anymore. We're a software company. And they've always been a software company. They were just a software company that provided hardware to people that wanted it. Now it just seems like we're a software company that wants to wind down the hardware side of it and kind of, go from there. But
I think they're trying to find a way to transition the gamers that they do have to want to engage with their content in the way that they would like them to engage with it.
True.
Which is typically, I think that's always a bad idea when you are trying to dictate to the market what they want instead of actually listening to the market what they want. We see a lot of talk from Phil Spencer, and then it gets repeated by other content creators that, the market's, is changing. Yeah, it is changing.
Yeah.
But it's changing for Microsoft and Xbox in a way that it's not changing for PlayStation and Sony. I mean, and Nintendo. The market's changing, but just because your devices aren't selling in a way that is successful, that you can consider to be successful, doesn't mean it's the same for everyone else.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Nintendo still won't put their IP on other platforms. They don't need to. There's a reason why PlayStation is expanding to PC and a little bit to Nintendo, but not to Xbox. It's because they don't see the value in putting their games there.
Yeah.
And so, it is what it is, and I just want people to kind of understand as this year goes on, a lot of narratives are going to get completely thrown in the trash. A lot of, they'll never put this game over there. Yeah. Once you see some of these games go, you're not going to think there's any line they won't cross with putting that content on PlayStation, putting that content on Nintendo. There's zero red lines. And Phil said that. There's a lot of other stuff that Phil has been saying about, I ain't going to say it.
Don't say it.
I was about to say something that I probably shouldn't have said because I'm not supposed to know that. But just this time next year, we won't be having these conversations anymore.
Well,
I'll just say that.
And guess what? That's a great segue because the whole Satya and Nadella and shutting down, that was kind of debunked by Microsoft. So we really ain't got to get into that. But let's just like you just said, by next year. For our last topic, let's just reflect and let's talk about where do we think Microsoft is going to, where Xbox is going to be by 2027, 2028? Like what is Xbox going to be full third party by that point? Are we still going to get in-home consoles at that point? Like what do you actually, in your opinion, because we don't know, what do you actually think is going to happen by 2028 with Xbox?
I think they will be in gaming. There will be a mixture, a hybrid of what Steam is and what some of these major publishers are. And so what I mean by that is they will be like a third party publisher where, they put their games everywhere. By 2027, 2028, I don't think they're going to even have timed exclusive games for Xbox. I think it will just be, hey, we're releasing the next Halo, and it's on Xbox Prime or wherever the heck you want to call that, and all the other PC handhelds that we call Xboxes. It will be on cloud. It will be on PC. It'll be on PlayStation and Nintendo. But they will be like Steam because they still will have a storefront.
Mm-hmm.
And that storefront will be available on mobile, on the Xbox hardware that's out there and on PC. And like Steam, because Steam still makes games occasionally, but they'll be making more games than Steam makes. But they will have their own storefront with their own platform, so to speak. But it's, you know, very, very different than what you get from what be considered to be a platform before. And they'll have a lot of first party studios dropping games. It's just, you know, it won't be just games on the Xbox and the PC. There's going to be games everywhere. So I think Satya would love to just not make hardware at all. Mm-hmm. But I think they have to find a way, or they're trying to find a way to kind of convince a lot of that player base there that essentially, if you look at the numbers, you're looking at like combined with Xbox One and the Xbox Series X and S consoles, you're looking at like, and then there are live service numbers for how many people they got playing on a monthly basis. You're looking at like between like 45 to 50 million gamers total. They're trying to find a way to transition these people off of Xbox consoles and into other platforms that they will rather they engage in, so they can kind of decouple themselves away from this. Remember how like they tried to convince people to get off of Xbox Live Gold and get into Game Pass by doubling the price of Xbox Live Gold for new users, and the backlash that occurred with that, and then they kind of went back on it. I think it's like a bigger scale version of that, where they're really kind of like they really don't care they'll take your money for certain, but they really don't care for you buying the hardware anymore. You know, like if you went to PC, that'd be great, because they don't make anything PC hardware wise, so you are unsubsidized buying your GPU, your CPU, your RAM, your motherboard, your case, your storage. You're doing all that yourself, whether you built it yourself, bought it and built it yourself, or you got a pre-built or someone else to do it for you. And then you're probably, and they don't even care whether you spent $10 on some website to get yourself a Windows 11 key. They don't care how you got Windows. But now that you're in their ecosystem, hey, jump on that Xbox app and buy some games, please. Or fine, go to Steam and spend $60-$70 there for our games. But we didn't have to build a piece of hardware. We didn't have to go to TSMC to get an APU made. We didn't have to fight with Apple, car manufacturers, and damn near everyone else for the TSMC's time to make those chips. We didn't have to go to Foxconn and China and have all these consoles made. You didn't have to worry about tariffs to get that stuff brought into this country. We ain't got to worry about none of that stuff. All we got to worry about is making games and shipping them. We don't even want to make physical games no more. This is how far away we are from making physical anything. The first thing they did after they got ABK was start to shut down the departments that worked on physical media. Mm-hmm. Because we ain't about that life. We don't want to make or sell physical games. We want you to buy it digital and then not think about the fact that it's full price and we didn't even have to ship it to you, make a case, print a disc, none of that stuff, but we're still charging the same price as if we did all that. That's what they want. Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, the grand scheme of things, that's what I think that's what it's going to be. They will not sell physical by 2027, 2028. When their first party games release, you ain't going to see a physical copy of it.
I mean, yes.
Did we get the physical copies of Hellblade 2?
We're not getting the physical copies of Avowed.
Nope. Nope.
Case by case, that's what they're saying. Case by case. I think the only reason we got Indiana Jones physical is because it's a third party deal with Disney.
Yep.
It's not 100% on Microsoft. It's Disney wanted that to be as many places as possible. Like I agree. When Fable finally comes out, I don't think there'll be a physical copy of it.
Nope.
You know, Outer Worlds, when that comes later this year. I mean, if they're not doing it for Avowed, what makes you think they're going to do it for Outer Worlds? So no,
that doesn't affect me because I've been all digital since maybe about 2016. So I'm fine.
Yeah,
with all digital.
Yeah,
but I'm not the only person here that is, should be considered.
Right, and
there are a number of gamers out there that like physical media. There's a number of gamers out there that love consoles.
Yeah,
and I think this is Xbox trying to dictate to the market where the market goes, and then saying, "Oh, the industry has changed." No, you have changed.
You changed. You definitely changed.
You're trying to push the industry where it's going and saying everything is changing. Meanwhile, for your competitors, they don't feel the same.
I was watching a video of he's a reseller. He does retro. It's called Phoenix Resale. And he does he has his own business and stuff where he, resells, like people send him games and he resells them and stuff on Amazon. And when he told me this is like his third year, he said this year he made close to like $6 million. I mean, not 6 million, $600 million, something like that. In sales on Amazon with like just all the sales of physical media, and it's all in mostly just retro. That just tells me that there's a place for that. It's like people, are looking for these physical games and stuff. And a lot of people always try to say, well, oh, you only really care about it because you work there and it impacts your job and everything. And I mean, that's true and all, but I always look at it like as a person, like I truly believe physical games should be bought for people that don't know if it's a game that they truly want to keep. Whereas if it's a game that I know, like Halo Infinite when it came out, even if it wasn't in Game Pass, I would have bought it digital because it's a game I will hold on to forever. Like SloMo knows, college football. You see it on the screen right now. I played that game more than any game this year almost. But guess what? I have it physical. You know why I have it physical? Because when 2026 comes out, I'm never going to touch 2025 again. So I'm going to get rid of it. Same thing with like NBA and sports games and stuff like that. Certain games I just feel like there's a need for it to be physical because it's just dead weight sitting on your hard drive. And I never thought about this until somebody said it to me about building a digital library. It's like, how good is your digital library if you never play it? Think about how deep. I asked him, what do you mean? He was like, do you have Steam? I said, yeah, I've been on Steam for like 12, 13 years. He said, how big is your Steam library? So I pulled my phone up and I looked to see how many games on my Steam library. It's well over 600 games. He said, when's the last time you played even a 10th of those games? I said, I probably never played a 10th of them. A 10th of them would be like, well, probably over 60 or more would be a 10th of them. But I was like, I understood what he was saying. He was like, he said, and if you did play them, how often do you go back to them? He was like, on PC, people go back to games most of the time to like test them on, test older games on new hardware, games that were hard to run on other things like that. So it's a little bit different for PC gamers versus console gamers. But it was like, why are we putting all this emphasis in our libraries when our libraries aren't going to matter after the first year or so of owning the games because you're never going to touch those games again? There's more games that sit on your hard drive, never to be downloaded ever again on your hard drive, just sitting there that you'll never use again. So that kind of spoke to me, and I was sitting there like, wait a minute, that's the reason I don't buy every game physical. Like I don't knock the person that buy game like SloMo. Like I never get on you and say, SloMo, you need to support physical because you know I work in a store and physical is something that we live on. I never said that to SloMo because guess what? SloMo buys digital because it's a convenience to him. I understand that. Everybody has a convenience to them, and that's what digital brings. But for Microsoft to kind of, edge out people that do care about that, that's kind of the thing that irritates me a little bit more than anything. And it not just because it kind of, hurts in one aspect of my life. It's just the simple fact that I just want people to have options. And when Microsoft says we want people to have choices, we want people to play how they want to play, we want them to play where they want to play and the way they want to, it just seems like that's being taken away from them. So when you say by 2027, 2028, that Xbox is going to be basically a digital platform with 99% of their games on every platform, if not 100% of their games on every platform, that is that's a realization that I actually subscribe to, because I do think that's kind of the direction. They've been telling people, we always tell people, like, if a person tells you who they are, believe them. That's what Microsoft has been telling people. They've been telling, I heard it on Crossfire when you guys were talking. And I think it was Lono said that Microsoft's been saying this for years. This has been said for years. And people are just finally hearing it for themselves. Like if you read through the tea leaves, like, we talk about it on DPS every week, every once in a while, whenever it comes up. We've been saying this for years, saying like, listen, this is going to be a thing that people just don't understand is happening. Microsoft's been telling you secretly, not even secretly, they're full blown telling you now, but they've been hinting at this for years. So it is what it is. I mean, I still support, not because I'm just a Game Pass subscriber, but just because I like the ecosystem. I still enjoy the Xbox ecosystem. It's a reason I never got rid of my Series X. It's a reason that I will still buy the handheld that comes out next. It's a reason that I keep up with my Xbox Game Pass subscription. I added another year to it earlier, like middle of last year. So I'm back up to the max of 3 years that you can get. My kids love it. I love it. I think Microsoft is doing the right thing when it comes to it. I just want them to do better when it comes to the offerings, and just when it comes to like the ability to get these games out as soon as possible for people to start loving and playing them as much as they want to. And I want them to make a decision on the system. And that's the biggest thing. Just what is the decision? Are you here to give people the hardware that they want, or do you want to become a pseudo third party? I feel like they want to try to do both, but they're not ready to let the console player go just yet. I just want them to pull the Band-Aid off and tell people what the direction is, but we know we're not going to get that anytime soon because it's still too much money to be made out here. But that's kind of how I feel about what you had to say and where I feel like they will be by 2028. I do think they'll be a third party publisher by that point. And that might not be a bad thing, because guess what? As long as Xbox is still around as a platform, that's all it needs to be. It could be Steam. It could be Steam adjacent to console, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think where people have to wrap their head around, and I also said this on Crossfire, because we get into the same conversations over and over again, as if we haven't had these discussions already before, and as if anything is actually going to change. They know all the arguments. People internally have made the same arguments that we're making in these podcasts, and yet they're still doing what they're doing. They do not care. They know how you feel about it, and they do not care how you feel about it. Mm-hmm. Now, what are you going to do about it? Because complaining about where Xbox is going is just blowing wind. You're just flapping your gums and burning calories, because in the grand scheme of things, if you're an Xbox fan, you don't need to stay there. You should do what's best for you and how you like the game. And if you're still, well, I love the ecosystem, all right, no one telling you to sell your Xbox, bro. Go stay there, keep doing what you're doing, but eventually don't be surprised if they, it's hard to find one in the future. Don't be surprised if they say this is the last one in the future. Don't be surprised if now they're trying to push you and where your library is to a cloud format. These are the things that you need to understand where they are. And if you don't like those things, go look in the grand scheme of where the whole entire gaming industry is and see what fits best for you. Because I've seen people make the transition from consoles to PC, get into Steam, and they're like, oh man, all the same games that I was so worried about losing that I had on that platform are available for like $5 over here. I'm seeing people tell me I was worried about the 600 games that I had on Xbox, and I've largely replaced many of them in Steam, and they run better than they did on Xbox.
Yep.
And I'm not telling everybody, just go to PC. But, maybe PlayStation is where you want to go. Maybe it's Nintendo. But you figure it out what's best for you and how you game. But like expecting them to listen to what the hardcore wants, you're not enough.
I love that word. Remember when
you are not enough.
Remember when PlayStation started putting their games on PC and we said, guess what? Y'all ain't enough. That's why they started putting games on PC, because you ain't enough. And then Microsoft literally started putting their games on PlayStation. Now we're saying the same thing for Xbox. We're not enough. Me as an Xbox gamer, I wasn't enough. SloMo as an Xbox and a PC gamer wasn't enough. A lot of that might have something to do with their own doing, but it still comes to the final thing that just wasn't enough. So, we killed this topic, SloMo. I appreciate you, but shout out to the over 50 people we had here. You guys are awesome, and I saw quite a few of you guys come in from over at IOP, and we appreciate you guys coming over and chilling with us today. We're at 30 likes. We have 50 people. We got 41 in here right now. Can we get those? Can we at least get half of you guys, if not all 10 extra people, to hit that like button so we can get this show?
Hit the subscribe button.
Hit the subscribe button too.
Our goal this year is to make sure we hit 500, and then, the sky's the limit from there. So we would love if you guys sub to the channel, especially if you enjoyed the conversation and want to take part in it in the future. We'd love to have you back. So hit the like and subscribe buttons, when we're going live again. I went live for last Sunday to play some Marvel Rivals. I'm probably going to go live at some point this weekend to play something else soon. We get together. I do sometimes some lunchtime with SloMo. I know I gotta get back to that. For those kind of gaming conversations while you eating your bagel, or let me just keep it a buck. You're eating some fatty, nasty fast food combo.
They eat Chick-fil-A
for lunch. Hey, Chick-fil-A is kind of good.
I know it's nothing nasty about Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A is awesome. I enjoy myself some Chick-fil-A. But no, you ready to do outros, man?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So tell the man, the myth, the legend, tell everybody where they can find you, what you got going on your channel, sir.
You can find me on Call of Duty shooting people in the face. But if I'm not there, I am probably gonna go live on this channel to bring more content to you guys and have some fun and hang out. I need to find another game to really like dig into, like we did with like Slay the Princess. That was an awesome stream.
That was awesome streams.
The Alien Isolation streams were pretty good. I know I need to finish that. But give me some ideas of other games you guys want to see us play, and then we'll make it happen. Forte, what do you got going on this weekend? I feel like you got some other things going on.
Yeah, I got a couple of things. And shout out to Miko saying SloMo is going to want to show up. He's not going to want to show up after this upcoming Commanders Ale.
Hey, Miko, you know that's unnecessary.
Hey, he right though. Listen.
That is unnecessary.
Listen.
We've had a great year. You ain't gotta just be slandering my team like this.
This is gonna probably be the first time. I was trying to figure it out. I said, Dave, do I call SloMo during this game? Every time the Lions score a touchdown?
You leave me alone. You leave me alone.
Every time Jahmyr Gibbs goes across the end zone and JD5 gets sacked and the offensive line and the wide receivers are dropping passes, it's gonna be listen, I'm not gonna talk jump because you never know. The Lions might go out there and show up and not show up and lose. So who knows? But for myself, Gaming Forte, YouTube, and X, IOP this Sunday at 1 o'clock with the Lords. Shout out to them. Going to be helping them for the next couple of months. So I'll be over there at least 3 days a week, 3 times a month. One of the Sundays I have to work, so I won't be there on that one. I'm gonna fight to get SloMo on there for that extra Sundays. Like, we gonna keep the DPS train rolling, so you guys always have 2 instances of DPS, and we appreciate it. But I'll be over there on Sunday with the guys, and I appreciate them. And outside of that, man, watching the Lions game on Saturday, which is gonna be great. Hopefully the Chiefs lose to the Texans on Saturday too, and all our lives will be complete at that point. But with that being said, we appreciate you guys. Shout out once again to the over 50 people we had. Thank you everybody for hitting the like button. We're at 40 likes now. And hit the subscribe button before you get up out of here. And to all of you guys in the chat, we appreciate it. We will see you guys next week for episode 212. And hopefully there's going to be more information around all of these different news and Xbox Direct coming up very soon. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.